And it begs the question, what needs to change and what resources do police have to cope?
We got an officer down here. We're going to deputy medic.
She chose to take her own life. It's something that can be addressed. It's something that can be discussed. But that doesn't make her a lesser person.
Leanne Starr grew up with 4 sisters. Her youngest sibling was a Chicago Police Department sergeant, Lori Rice.
She loved what she did.
Their father also served Chicago as a CPD detective.
If we were going to take a cookie without permission, we would be afraid my dad would use his fingerprint kit to see who took a cookie. So yes, our house very much aware that there were rules.
Sergeant Rice was just like her father, following procedures and striving to make a difference. She was a hero on the streets and at home.
Lori has been on the job 21 years, and she's very proud of her work. We're very proud of her.
Rice, a 47-year-old sergeant from the 12th District, decided to take her own life on February 2nd.
It breaks my heart that we were the family who said, not our family, not Lori, never Lori.
But Starr admits even the superhero of the family showed signs that she wished she paid closer attention to.
We talked over several weeks, but I never recognized the importance or how deeply it conflicted with her nature and ability to manage her life.
What would you change?
There was an EAP brochure on her fridge.
Starr says her sister rocked it at work, but in her personal life, she couldn't get everything in order like she did in the office.
But as I went through her purses and her drawers and her locker content, there was an EAP brochure. I think I have a stack of maybe 8 or 10.
And life-altering moments like these are starting a national conversation.
It's a regular occurrence that we see more deaths by suicide than in the line of duty.
Miriam Heyman with the Rudderman Family Foundation hopes to elevate the conversation about mental health and access to care for first responders.
The reality is that first responders see death and destruction every day. And of course, this exerts a toll on their mental health. They are heroes for sure, but they are also human.
News headlines are a stark reminder of the obstacles police officers in Chicago face, but the high crime and murder rates are a PR nightmare for city officials, and the consequences have had a lasting impact on officers.
So the politics that were at place has put the officers in the middle between the community and the police, and it really wasn't fair. These are all things that are weighing on officers, along with not having a contract, not having a raise in 2 years.
There's a reason why most officers don't often report mental health issues. Under the current federal law, if an officer is institutionalized for mental health issues, they lose their firearms identification card.
If they aren't allowed to have a firearm owner's identification card, they can't work. So now you've made a problem worse. So we are working both with the city and the police department, and we are also working with state lawmakers to try and make sure that we can address the problem.
Now, Chief Barbara West says they're applying big changes to the police department.
Based upon, some requirements of the consent decree, we're going to be hiring, in the process of hiring, 7 new clinicians. So I think by adding the additional clinicians, they can go out and be more visible in the districts, more visible at roll calls.
Even with the support systems in place, West says it's hard to pinpoint why officers are taking their own lives.
What we do is go back and look and do a psychological autopsy. We take a look at those and go back and see how we can do things better.
We talk about the superintendent, lieutenants, and sergeants trying to make a difference here, but is the community playing any role in this? How can we help?
When you see a police officer, thank them, he or she, for the work that they do.
Starr says if she would have reached out to her sister and asked if she needed help or even reassured her she wasn't alone, maybe she wouldn't have made the decision to take her own life.
There were over 400 people at my sister's memorial, and I looked around and I thought, did she understand that 400 people's heart would break? If she had understood that 400 people would forgive, would not judge, would understand, would talk to her, who would still want her here no matter what the flaws were, maybe things would be different.
Star tells me her family is healing, and their mentality is the hashtag Live Like Lori. And also another thing to note, Sergeant Rice wrote a check every single month to the Chicago Memorial Foundation. And here's how we can all participate, how we can all become part of the solution. The Run to Remember race is this Saturday. It's dedicated to honor fallen officers. Start time is at 8 a.m. at the Gold Star Families Memorial Park. There's an online registration available, and of course an after party with food, drinks, and entertainment.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was founded on January 15, 1908 in Minor Hall at Howard University. The 20 founders included the 9 original, 7 sophomores that were asked, and then 4 incorporators to form the 20 founders, or our 20 pearls.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is the first Black Greek letter organization catering to women. The ambition of these women helped set the tone for sisterhood and brotherhood amongst all Black fraternities and sororities.
It's wonderful when you can actually go out into the community and serve with individuals that look like you, and you're serving for individuals that look like you. And regardless of the colors that you wear, you know that you have the same goals. We have to show each other and others in the community what it is to be excellent, what it is to be encouraged, what it is to be diversified, creative, innovative, and just keeping the movement going.
Many around the world celebrated as the U.S. elected its first Black and South Asian woman vice president, Kamala Harris. But no group beamed brighter with pride than her fellow sisters of AKA.
If you are a woman, you were excited to see Kamala take the seat, right? And then to add that, to add to that, are the colors that she wears, which symbolizes so much more.
A number of women throughout history have donned the official colors of salmon pink and apple green, symbolizing femininity and vitality.
As women, when we're out there in the world, it can be a different world, right? The job force can be different. And so when you're able to look and see someone that looks like you and acts like you and represents like you, I think innately that helps you to be who you are. With our organization and with our sorority, along with other members of the Divine Nine, our goal is that this is a lifelong commitment. This isn't something that you just do in undergrad or in college. It's something that you do and just continue to do. This is absolutely something that I plan on doing for the rest of my life.
Since 1790, the government has used the census to allocate billions of dollars to specific programs and communities. But that's not a priority to families living in fear of being deported.
My parents were a little bit nervous because we were undocumented at the time. Como Latinos tenemos...
As Latinos, we're so scared to give our information out.
Rocio Velasquez and Elia Ortiz say many people in their community worry their personal information will end up in the hands of ICE agents. That's why state and federal officials are trying to debunk the census myths.
It is really important to get as many people knocking on doors, conveying the importance of participating, and letting people know that the information on the census is absolutely confidential.
Keyword here, confidential, an issue which got very murky when President Donald Trump tried to add a citizenship question to the census. It eventually was denied by the Supreme Court, but left many non-citizens scared.
He's done everything he can to demonize immigrants. It's disgraceful. The government can't use your census participation against you. It doesn't mean that ICE is going to come to your door.
The need for an accurate count centers on dollars and cents.
So every person who's not counted costs local units of government money. And we need those resources, of course, to meet our needs.
Every year, Cook County gets $1,400 per person for affordable housing, SNAP payments, you name it. For every one person not counted on the census, the county loses $14,000 a decade.
There were over 1 million people who were not counted in the 2010 census nationally.
And it's not just adults. 36,000 children were uncounted.
For every child, we lost out on $2,700 each year that could have been invested in good things for children.
Also at stake, Illinois' representation in Washington.
Our congressional representation is based on population. We're going to lose 1 congressional seat, we're pretty sure. And we may lose 2 if we don't get a good count.
How important and how detrimental would that be if we lose 2?
I think it would be very problematic, to say the least. We have 18 members of Congress representing Illinois. Generally, we work together on a lot of issues of priority for Illinois. Losing even 1 seat will affect our ability to bring home resources that we rightfully should have.
The 2020 census could be a turning point for Illinois. Congress is going to invest around $2 trillion nationwide in infrastructure.
This could include funding for school buildings, for parks, for better transit. The census will be key in deciding where that money goes.
The areas least likely to respond to the census are represented in red on this map, predominantly Latino and or low-income areas. Neighborhoods like Chicago Lawn and Little Village are the ones local organizations like PASO are canvassing.
It makes me angry that there has been deliberate attempts to silence people, and that something as supposedly apolitical as just a mere count is being used as a tool to make people disappear.
Ana Marin and her team go out, knock on doors, call their neighbors, and make sure the community is properly informed. Marin says it's the people who need the resources the most that are participating the least.
If we believe that we live in a community, and if we believe that the children in our community need to be taken care of, the elders in our community need to be taken care of, and that belief in community is the reason why we should take the census.
Just a little bit.
He's a multi-platinum award-winning rapper, superstar, and entrepreneur who has a new song that's topping the country charts just a little bit. We are so excited to welcome Nelly to the Jam. Nelly, what's up?
Thank you. I'm good. What's happening? How y'all?
Yeah, congratulations on a little bit. It's #1 on the country charts. What does that feel like?
That feels good, man. It definitely does. Definitely when you can, have that type of success 20 years later and things like that, that's a blessing. It feels great.
Yeah, man. When it comes to country music and hip hop, you're the king of fusing the two together. You're the OG of it, from Over and Over way back when. So what makes those two genres work so well together for you?
I think probably just where I'm from. I'm from the Midwest. St. Louis raised me. I was born in Texas. So it's like just, you take that whole feeling, and then me just having an appreciation for all genres of music, but country music is something that I think is a little different. I love the honesty. I love the stories. I love the passion that's in it. If you listen to it, you could probably tell why so many successful writers have been successful at writing R&B and country. A lot of those writers some of those writers are the same writers. If you look at someone such as Lionel Richie over the years and through his career, he's been able to do both because he's been able to take that passion that a lot of us may hear in R&B and be able to translate that over into country music and vice versa. You've heard so many songs cross back and forth, man. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. I feel real fortunate that people allow me to be musically free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm expecting that musical freedom to be on this new album that you're talking about. What is going to be there?
It's my appreciation and how country music has influenced me. It's still a Nelly album, but it's influenced by country music. It's participated by country artists and friends of mine. And it's just that appreciation that goes into it. And a little bit is that type of vibe. But again, it is a Nelly album, but it's definitely infused and influenced by his appreciation that has come from country music.
Hey, speaking of influence, man, 20 years of country grammar.
Yeah.
The impact you've had on this game,
I grew up mainly in Ciudad de Mexico, a neighborhood called Tepito. And it's a very rough neighborhood. We were 7 brothers, 1 sister. My dad, or my stepdad, stopped giving my mother money for groceries, food, and so on. So we were on our own. So that's when I decided to migrate to United States. At some point, the human just has to survive. It's a survival instinct. There is nothing wrong with that, right? When I went to College of DuPage, I was taking English as a second language. I started to see the graphic design classes, the program. And I'm like, I can do this thing, because I took graphic design in Mexico. I talked to this gentleman, which I forgot his name. He was the person who will allow you to take classes and so on. And I said, hey, look, I'm from Mexico. I want to take classes. The problem is that I did finish high school in Mexico, but the high school, got in fire. He said, take this class and this class. If you pass them, you can continue on. I got A+ in the 2 classes. Being in advertising is very demanding. There is no 9 to 5. The 9 is the hour to start, and then you're done when the work is done. The reason why to start working for myself, it was to spend more time with my kids, to spend more time with my family. How Prolijo Mezcal was born is because my mom and my dad are both indigenous of Mexico. My mom's family, they make pulque, and my dad's side, they make mezcal. One day I started going to different bars in the city, and I started to see mezcals, and I got very excited to see mezcals. And of course, I started to do my research. What we wanted to bring to the United States, it wasn't just putting our bottles in somebody else's mezcal. We wanted our own flair, our own flavor. We wanted the mezcal to have the same process that has been done for hundreds of years. This is just a dream. And I'm very grateful to this nation. I'm very grateful to all the people that I met throughout my life. Everybody has helped me. And I think that's, I'm just grateful.
Kappa Alpha Psi. We were founded on the campus of Indiana University, January 5th, 1911. Which you can imagine was a different time and era.
Certainly a different time and era. But the community work that Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated set out to do then is still very much so needed today.
There are a number of things that we do that impact the community, from a scholarship program that we've given easily over $500,000 out. And then we have a grammar school program, and we're working currently at Dulles Grammar School and at Powell Grammar School. And that's where we work with the young men that are in the grammar school, grades of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And I think more than anything, that's what we want to be remembered by.
The Illinois Secretary of State Jesse White, the Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul, and professional athletes and activists Arthur Ashe and Colin Kaepernick. These Kappa men, or affectionately known as the Noobs, gravitate towards leadership roles.
Yes, we have our swag and we have our demeanor, but more importantly, the impact on our community and the young Black males in Chicagoland, we aim to make a difference and be a positive role model in that capacity.
Though this fraternity had humble beginnings in the Midwest, they've stretched their principles around the globe, cultivating more than 125,000 members and 700 chapters. But achievement is still the guiding light on the path that was forged over a century ago.
Most of us want people to recognize is the commitment and love we have for an organization, and then the width and breadth of our organization.